guys, Kalila here, or Callie, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. If you want to find me on other platforms other than YouTube, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Pinterest. I started posting there, and all the links will be down below in the description box at Kopy Callie. So, today is not a crocheting video, but it does have something to do with crocheting, because we're going to be talking about how you, as a total beginner, can write a crochet pattern yourself. These are things that I wish I knew when I was starting out making patterns and clothes and amigurumi, things like that, because then it would have put less pressure on me to actually seek out things when I could have just done it myself based on the knowledge that I obtained. Because writing patterns is super easy. Let me say it again. Writing patterns is super easy. I will be giving you guys steps on what you need to know, things you need to do before you even think about writing a pattern. Because writing a pattern isn't just going in and like, oh, let me write. No, you need to do research. Everything involves research, especially when you're learning something new. The first thing you need to know before you start writing a pattern on your own is you need to learn the abbreviations for crochet terms. If you don't know what I mean, here's what I mean. Patterns aren't written like a book. They're written in abbreviations so that it's easily digestible. First, if you're looking at double crochet, you're not going to see the words double crochet. You'll see DC, which means double crochet. So those are the abbreviations that I'm talking about. Slip stitch, SLST, single crochet, SC, chain, CH. These are terms and abbreviations that you need to know before you start writing a pattern, because when you write a pattern, you don't want to write longhand. You want to write shorthand with the abbreviations so that more people can understand. And the more words you put on a page, the more people get confused and overthink things. So when you do abbreviations, it's easy for people to get what you are explaining. So those are things that you definitely need to know. All of the abbreviations, even of stitches that you probably won't even use, like a triple crochet. You still need to know the term for that so that you know how to write that out in a pattern. The next thing you need to do is read patterns. There are so many free patterns out there that are written beautifully, and you just need to find 1, 2, 3. As long as it's more than one, to be honest. And there's a plane flying, but I don't care, I'm gonna keep talking. Read different patterns as well. Don't just read clothing patterns, sweater vest patterns. Read sock patterns, read amigurumi patterns, read hat patterns, scarves patterns, because people write patterns differently, sometimes based on the project that they're creating. I know my amigurumi doll pattern is different from my sweater pattern, but I changed my style of pattern writing, but still, it is very different from each other, and you have to look at different patterns to see how you would want to write your own, because sometimes people write paragraphs in patterns to explain something, and sometimes people chop it down to a few words where it's still as understandable as that paragraph, if not more understandable. So you have to know what other people do so that you can know what you want to do. It's like reading a pattern to make a sweater. No one just knew how to make a sweater. You looked at a pattern, or you watched a tutorial, you looked at their technique, and you're like, wait, I can apply that to my own. So it's the same thing with writing a pattern. You have to read other patterns so that you can just get into a groove, have an idea. So you don't just sit there like looking at a blank page and just like, how do I even start this? What do I even do? Like, do I make a cover page? If I do, what do I do for that? Do I make a cover page? Do I put a picture there? So if you look at other patterns, read other patterns, you will definitely get your brain to stimulate something so that you will be able to formulate your own type of pattern writing. So take inspo from those patterns and then structure something so that is unique to you. This is more of a personal thing, but I feel like it will help other people. Don't worry about stitch count. Do not worry about stitch count. The moment you worry about stitch count is the moment you are literally taking away another person's access to a pattern that they could potentially want. Stitch count equals sizes. Sizes equals non-inclusivity. What does that mean? You know, patterns have like extra small to 5XL. Exactly. It's not size inclusive because there's a beginning point and an end point. There's a certain small size and a certain big size that it gets to, and there's a range. There shouldn't be a range. It should be unlimited if you are looking to be size inclusive. If you just want to include stitches, like that is a totally, like that's you. Totally fine. In this age, in this day and age, it is better to be size inclusive. I have learned that as I have been writing my patterns. Like some of my patterns, yeah, I wrote it in one size, but I still included ways people can make it bigger so that it could fit their size. Ways people can make it smaller so that it could fit their size. So in the end, it was still inclusive enough to include other people who are not my size. I don't even make things for my size anyway. I make things way bigger for me, but still, just because it's way bigger for me doesn't mean it could fit somebody who's bigger than me or someone who is smaller than me, you know? Using measurements is what is important in my opinion, instead of using stitch count. Once you have measurement-based patterns, you'll be able to include everyone and anyone who wants your pattern. If they see a sweater and they're like, I want to make that, but they see it only goes up to 5XL or it only stops at small when they're extra small or extra small, it's like, dang, I can't really alter. I'm gonna have to do math to alter this, when if I see something that is measurement based and I just go based on the size that I am, crochet until it is the width of the front of you, or wider if you want it, or smaller if you want. That makes people feel better, because then they won't have to worry about, oh, I was a stitch off, now it's gonna throw off the whole thing. They'll just know, oh, I just get my measuring tape and I measure it out and it'll be perfect for me. Perfect for my sister, perfect for my aunt, perfect for my brother, or anyone who they want to make things for. The only thing that I worry about, I use worry very loosely here. The only thing that I worry about when I'm writing patterns is the amount of rows that I have. Because if you want to remember and recreate something that you already created, but you want to use a different fiber. For example, I created a mohair sweater. I am recreating that sweater using a different weight yarn, a heavier weight yarn. If I use stitch count to make that pattern, I wouldn't be able to recreate it, because lace weight yarn and worsted weight yarn, two different weights. That means a certain amount of yarn is used to make a certain amount of rows. 10 rows on lace weight is so thin. 10 rows on worsted weight that's a lot. So I have to do measurement based, and since I did measurement based, I'm able to recreate the exact size that I used for my mohair sweater with my worsted weight sweater. The next step, number 4, goes hand in hand with the third step, and that is learn to measure yourself. Learn to measure yourself, learn to measure other people. Because once you know how to measure yourself, let's say you want a sleeve a certain length, you'll know how to get your tape measure and measure out the length of your arm, measure around your arm, measure out your bust if you need to. I don't ever do that because I don't have a big bust, so I just go based on my torso measurements, because it's basically the same size. But still, you'll know how to write out so that other people can understand how to measure themselves as well. Because once you know how to measure yourself, you can teach other people how to measure themselves. Number 5 is take progress pictures for extra help. If you're writing a pattern for other people and you are not sure how to explain something, take a picture of it, because then that takes away extra words that you have to use, because then the people who are reading your pattern can reference the picture instead of you having to write out a whole paragraph on how this is supposed to look and how to. For me, I rarely take pictures because I know how to articulate what I need, but if I really don't care to do that, I will take progress pictures of every step, basically, and add it into that pattern so that people can understand what I'm saying, how it's turning out, because a lot of people are visual learners. Just to check just to reference and see, am I doing this right? And then they look at the picture that you showed and they're like, okay, I'm on the right track. And it's just to give people a boost of confidence as they are creating their project based on your written pattern. All right, now that you know all of these things that you potentially need to know to write your own pattern, here's how you will actually write your pattern using all of this knowledge. Okay, so I'm going to go based on measurement base because that is what I write now. I don't do anything with stitch count because no. Let's say you're making a sweater. Example time. Okay, let's say you're making a sweater. Right. I'm working on a sweater right now, so that's like the best example. And I love making sweaters. They're just so awesome. So you're working on a sweater and you're like, I need to know how wide I need to make my sleeve for my wrist. I want it to fit just a little loosely, but not too big. So you're going to take your tape measure. Boom. This is going to be your best friend when you're writing patterns. And when I say write patterns, I don't mean like just writing patterns to sell. I mean writing patterns for yourself. I write patterns. Oh, hold on. I think I got some yarn on my lip. Okay. I write so many patterns just for myself, just so that I know I have it so that I can recreate it, or I can recreate it using a different yarn. I can give it to my sisters so they can create something of their own and never sell it. But I write it out because first it gives me more practice, and then sometimes I want to remember. Sometimes you're duplicating something like a sleeve and you want to write that down so that you can know what to do for the next sleeve so that they are even, you know? Or for the front panels, you need to know, oh wait, how many did I make for the back so that I can stop somewhere at the front and know when. So many things go into it, and it is always best to just write down everything you do. Back to the example with the wrist. I need something that's not too baggy but not too tight. So you're going to take your tape measure and just going to wrap it around your wrist, just like this. And you're like, okay, if I go like this, let's say 6 inches, 7 inches, that's too tight on me. Loosen it out. Hold it like this. Is this how I want my sleeve to be? Do I have room? Yeah, maybe a little bigger. Okay, I like the way this feels. So take it out, look at where it stopped. This stopped at like 9 inches. And I'll be like, maybe like 9 inches and a quarter, 9¼ inches. And I'm going to literally get my yarn and I'm going to crochet until I reach 9¼ inches long. If you're doing ribbing, you're going to going back only until it is 9¼ inches long or wide. Let's see. 9. Yeah. Until it is this length. That is how much ribbing you would do for your wrist so that it can fit the way you want. This is a back panel, so ignore how long it is, but you would do it until it is that length. So now that you did that, write that down. How long did I make the ribbing for the sleeve? 9 inches, 9¼ inches. That's how long I did it. Now I want a long sleeve, but not too long since the front panel drapes over. Okay, get your measuring tape and measure out. If you know how much drape you have in your front panel or not. Usually, I don't know how much drape I have. I am such a guesstimator, so I'll just measure out my arm and I'll be like, I don't think I need my sleeves to be all the way up here, so maybe I'll measure to down here, because sometimes this drape goes over here. But if you want to measure out your whole arm, do that. So go up, measure out your arm just like this, and you're like, that is like 21 inches. So you're going to take your ribbing for the sleeve. You're going to crochet into it. My camera died. You're going to crochet into it until it is 21 inches long. If you need to figure out how wide you want your sleeve to be before you make it long, take your measuring tape, okay? Take your tape measuring tape, wrap it around your arm, and you'll see how wide your upper arm is, because that's the widest part of your arm. So go to your upper arm, measure that, If you want it to be bigger, loosen it out. Just like that. Like, oh, I want this much. I want my sleeve to be this big. So then you're going to increase until it is 17 inches wide, or however wide you want it to be, before you go up and up and up and up. And then you just write all of that down. It is so easy. The same for the front panel. If you need the front panel, if you want a front panel, get your tape measure, measure out the front of your body, measure out the front of your body, just like that. If you want your front panel to be a certain width, if you want it to be fitted, do it like this. If you want it to be wider, keep going wider. And then you'll be like, I want it to be 24 inches wide. You will literally just crochet until it is, if you're doing ribbing, you will literally crochet until your ribbing is 24 inches wide. And then you write that down. Back ribbing, 24 inches. Front ribbing, 24 inches. It is literally that easy. So now that we have all of that, hopefully this has helped you so far and has been understandable. That is the process that I went through when trying to write a pattern myself. And I feel like this is what beginners need to know to write their own pattern. And like I showed you, it is that easy. But I'm not going to leave you guys there, okay? I'm going to give you guys a PDF example of my own pattern that I have written. I'm going to erase all of the actual pattern, but I'm going to leave a template. So like row this, row that, back ribbing, blah, 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 so that you guys can really get a feel of what it should look like, how it should be. And I'm saying should loosely because there's no wrong or right way to write a pattern or to style it, to format it, anything. But I just want you guys to get a visual of what a pattern looks like, what it could look like, how you could format it yourself. I don't care if you use that exact format, but I just want you guys to have an example, a free example, and also a blank one so you can fill it in if you want. I'm gonna do a sweater example. So it'll be a sweater example so that you guys can try it out yourselves, okay? Okay, so let me know if this helped you. Let me know if it was digestible, understandable. Rewind if you need something clarified. Comment down below if you guys have read a pattern, have tried to write a pattern, your journey of writing a pattern. I would love to know because that was my journey of writing a pattern, figuring out how to do all of those things. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great pattern writing journey. Remember, you don't have to write a pattern to just sell it. You can write a pattern just for yourself. You can write a pattern for your friends. You can write a pattern for your siblings, anybody who is actually interested in creating something. And that just shows you that you can create things on your own. You don't need to read a pattern to create a sweater. You don't need to read a pattern to create a hat. You can literally take the knowledge that you have based on the patterns that you've read and create your own things. And then it will help you be more creative as a fiber artist. That is what the path I have taken, and at this point I don't read anyone else's pattern besides my own, because I'm always creating something new based on knitting. I don't even look at crochet for inspiration anymore. I look at knitwear. I look at knitwear and I'm like, oh, how can I create that but a crochet version? And then I experiment and I write out patterns as I'm going. You don't have to write out a whole thing based on your head. No, go through the process and write as you go. Write as you go, and then next thing you know, you'll have a full pattern and you'll be like, wait, did I just do that? Like that's a pattern. I can literally sell this. That is how easy it is, okay? So thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, if you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and let me know what else you guys want to see. I kind of like making videos like this of helping you guys with certain things that I don't see a lot of people helping you guys out with, okay? Because when I was starting out, I didn't see it. So hopefully this helps you guys with your crochet journey. Now see you guys next time with another video. Bye.